Oh, I was supposed to go across the street at 2. No, at 1. They called and said, can you come at 2? And I went, what, meeting at 3. I'm at 2:45.
You get sent down. No, yeah.
Right.
I don't think she's a teacher. I think she's a vigilante. She was fighting crime before she got here.
Me? It's exam week.
No, I know.
Oh, you are? You're fighting crime. Yeah, the kids can't wait to get out. Shorts. Your parents are like, no.
Like, Bryce, you sure you don't have summer school? Sure.
You going to summer camp?
Yes. Alright.
All right, we'll go ahead and start our meeting. Welcome, everybody. Let's see, has everybody read the minutes from the last meeting? Is there a motion to approve the meetings? Motion to approve the minutes is read.
I just had a small correction to it.
Okay,
I just amended to, I made a motion at the end about the city council, about a recommendation to city council for the nature trail. I would just say that instead of the way it's worded, motion to suggest the city council to look into the nature trail. All it was recommendation, and they had that proposal for a while after, so it wasn't really a proposal.
And I got that written down. We're all changed to say suggest proposed. To bring it to council.
all right.
Just, no, you want to read the word out proposal?
I'll put accurately what you
So
said.
I never used the word proposal.
Then I will accurately.
I just said I suggest to city council that they look into blah, blah, blah. Thank you. That's the key.
I'm glad you changed that.
Doesn't matter.
That's not a problem. I'll gladly change that.
And I know that taking minutes is not easy.
Well, I mean,
I don't know what I said after the fact, right?
everybody sees me watching Facebook over and everybody's like, oh, he's just on Facebook. I said, no, I'm not. I'm here taking notes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm glad that you done.
Okay. So the next agenda item is introduction of new Ptac members.
Well, so Michael Anderson was appointed to Ptac. Unfortunately, he did not know that his first appointment was going to be so soon, because usually most of the time it's interview. Then the next month they get appointed, then they attend the meeting that ends that month. So he is out of the country right now. He will be in attendance for the next meeting. But we don't obviously have him here today to introduce himself, but we'll get him on the agenda for the next month to introduce himself.
Okay, and we look forward to meeting him. And part of our Ptacs. Very good. All right, old business. Memorial for Driftwood.
So I have an update. I spoke with arborist Michael Murphy. He is going to go out to the tree to look at it on site. He did say trees typically in those small islands do not have a high success rate of transplanting, just because there isn't enough room to work around. Trying to get as much of the root ball and root structure as possible without damaging anything. It's very difficult in those small islands. He does think, but he won't know until he puts his eyes on it, that there might be a way to kind of air blast around it to air jet to see if they can expose all the roots and then take it out. But it just depends. He says it might be better to go in the route where we say maybe cutting out that tree, cutting out a portion of the art to reserve it. But he will give a written summary for that. So with that, like I said, we should start transitioning to looking towards a location for the memorial and how we're gonna get the memorial. So maybe if we want to contact USCB, get with some local artists, see if there's something to jump on.
Very good. Do you have any idea how much it would cost the city to try to transplant it?
So ballpark, I think when we looked at the palm trees over there at Evergreen, and that's one of my kind, because height wise, they're similar. I think it was something like $3,000 or $4,000 or something like that.
Per tree?
I think so, yeah, per tree. So,
So
but that's a lot of money with not a very high success rate. And I think that's what he was looking at today, because right off the bat, he said without looking at it, he goes, any tree that you have a small island like that, the chances are even that much worse, just because to get in and cut everything out, the space that you actually need the spade in, you will damage more of the roots because you'll be so close to the cut. Because to get it out, you would have to cut a portion of the road, a portion of the sidewalk, just to get the healthy amount.
And then
And
have
will
to,
DOT really even allow us to do that?
yeah, and then have to replace.
Yeah.
Road sidewalk,
Yeah.
in addition to what you're being charged for tree removal.
So
Probably higher than the cost of it.
So I would say we should prepare for the fact that that won't be an option. We're still awaiting his summary, but he is working on that, so I should hopefully have that. Once I get it, I'll send it out to all of us to read over. But we should start transitioning towards finding a location for a memorial. And it's probably gonna be us cutting that portion out of the tree to preserve it and put it somewhere.
Which I think is money better spent. You know, I mean, that's my personal opinion. I certainly would invite anyone else to say how they feel.
I think it's a neat idea, if we get some artists to.
What do you have in mind for artists to present? For this establishing this memorial, right?
I think obviously a location where not gonna run into any vehicle accidents, so anyway, away from major roadways, so. You think the waterfront park just because it's highly populated, you also would think maybe the parks along the carriage tours. So that people could see it, then maybe when they're done, they're like, oh, I really want to get off and go to this park, walk up the block and see it, but I think preserving it. Maybe in some sort of resin and putting it on like a concrete mount somewhere with a plaque that gives a little summary of it. I think at that point too, like we would lean back towards Mr. McDowell and Ms. Bradshaw and see if there was some sort of plaque type they would want to go with to better serve the memorial that they were thinking of originally. I think that's what we could look for, but also there might be an artist that has a completely different idea that may blow us out of the water. That's why I think maybe getting somebody else involved that's their profession
And I think that's a great idea.
might seem to be the
Yeah.
best route. Because I'm crafty, but I'm not that artistic.
Yeah, get as
So-
much input as we can.
Maybe they can do something like actual drip.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Like maybe the plaque being driven.
I was, on Craven Street, and there is that park on Craven Street. Is that where the tree walk begins? I believe it is. And there was room in a sizable flower bed for perhaps something like what we're talking about.
Yeah.
That would actually face Colorado Street. Something to think about. And it would be very visible too. Secession Garden. There you go. So that's another possibility, Adam.
Mainly because there are benches there, people could sit, read a flag.
They can use, there's a whole vacant flower bed.
We'll soon not be though.
That's a possibility.
And it's highly visible.
Yeah, right on Bay Street.
I don't know if y'all saw it, more trivial, but there was some kind of vehicle about a week ago, it said driftwood on it, and it had some kind of marketing slogan, and it had a Florida plate. I think it even might have had the phone number on the side of the vehicle. I can't remember what it said, but at the time I remembered, but not now. But yeah, it would catch your eye. It was cool looking, but yeah, maybe they do something with driftwood down there too. But yeah, I don't know if he had ties anywhere in the downtown area. He was way out on Harbor Island, so.
Well, the only thing was that they said where the small ice cream yo-yo shops is on the backside by the playground. He used to stay in there. That used to be where he would rent out and stay in that little shack.
Oh, there you go.
So
Yeah,
maybe the only thing I think honestly, like Waterfront Park is the Phoenix Station, because the Phoenix Station no longer serves the Christmas tree, but it does serve the small decorations like the Santa sleigh. But throughout the rest of the 9 months of the year if there's nothing there.
Possibility.
Plus, we're getting a staircase rebuilt there too.
Staircase.
There's a staircase that leads down to, you know what I'm talking about, to the marina parking lot. It was a old brick wood staircase, now it's gonna be fully concrete.
Oh, Freedom Park,
ADA compliance too, so.
backside of Freedom Park,
Yeah.
yeah.
Nice.
So.
Possibilities.
It might be a good location to look, the carriage doors right there, so when they're done, they get off, they walk right up the steps.
So in this whole scenario, how's it determined where it's gonna be? Who determines that?
Everything that we would do would be presented to city manager and council.
And then we would make a recommendation to place it here.
Yeah.
Do this proposal and place it.
I think having a wide variety, well, not wide, but limiting our locations to maybe 2 or 3 locations that we think would be viable for this memorial. One that meets the foot traffic. One, I guess, the scenery, you know, would help beautify the park even more. And what makes the most sense to protect it. You know, because I think if we went from one street corner to another, you know, if you just make it easier for somebody to hit, you know. But I think those 3 things we should focus on, by having like at least a good 2, 3 locations, that way they could say, we're happy with all 2 or 3 of these locations. Where do you think this memorial would be best fit?
Okay. So we're really months out from this.
If we get the summary, and then we have to go through obviously the encroachment. To then, if we decide what we're going to do with the tree, so maybe the artist will say, yeah, just cut out the portion of the art, and then we'll work around it. And we have to schedule, you know, the tree work to be done. Now, the schedule the permanent DOT, because the technically would be broken. Because we probably have to manage traffic or somehow close down the road, you know, deter traffic a different way, just because it's a 35-foot palm tree. So it's not the easy thing, just go cut and be done with. Again, it all comes down to whatever plan you decide and what DOT approves us to do. So
we're probably.
I'd say maybe
Fall.
ballpark, this might be a 3-6 month project.
Okay.
What I think, realistically.
What about horse trough? Is the horse trough the one that has the?
You're talking about the small little one at the corner of Bladen and Bay, right?
Yes, the one that has the
It's the fountain.
fountain, mostly fountain. There's no irrigation through there, right?
There's irrigation just at a flower bed.
Just the flower, but there's no irrigation going to that. Fountain.
No.
So maybe that's something, maybe that could be, because there's a little walkway that goes through there and leads up to it, right? So people would walk and there's benches and things there.
I do like Morale Park too. If it becomes just a memorial, because obviously to put the palm tree there, you have a lot of oaks that kind of that wouldn't make sense, because we removed the palm trees from Evergreen because of the live oaks. There's no sense to put a 35-foot palm tree in with the live oaks over there. But if we turned it into a 3-4 foot memorial, that might make sense too there. Because really, there's nothing in Morale Park besides just the ornamentals. Mermaid structure, yeah, just mermaid
Right.
structure.
Morale.
Corner of Craven Street and Carter.
Right across from the parking office.
The one that
Oh,
you're
the one that I was
talking
talking about, right, yeah, I like that side. Where the tree walk starts, right?
And I mean, the artwork of the mermaid's right in there, so maybe we add to it.
Yeah, another.
Adam, you mentioned putting it in a waterfront park, did you? Specifically say where, you said over by the
So maybe
stairwell?
like by the stairwell where the Freedom Park Union Station is. Just because there's nothing there anymore, because they used to be the site for the Christmas tree. Obviously, since we do it in the middle of Waterfront Park now. That space is vacant 9 months out of the year, so that might be viable, because you see everything from the roadway. It'd be put a good amount of space in where we wouldn't really have to worry about somebody kind of hopping the curb and knocking it over. just trying to find locations with enough space away from the roadways, so where it can be protected better. Because that's obviously, that was their main concern, is they don't want a vehicle to come right now and hit the palm tree and then it's gone forever, there's nothing we can do about it.
We want the design, what do we want the
They come up with a really neat design.
design and memorial, maybe to know what that is and what it would be before we,
It's a garden.
yeah. So we could try to make it match
Right,
up with its design.
and I can ask Gibbs and Fleetwood to start thinking about verbiage for a memorial.
Yeah.
You know, something that's, you know, not too long and elaborate, but descriptive and succinct.
Yeah.
You know, so. Yeah, I think, it's a great question. But it's my, you know, I'm gonna say it's my strong opinion that City of Beaufort would be wasting money moving that tree.
Yeah.
So that's, you know, just my opinion. Yeah, we would be better served to use those funds to do something attractive.
There is a place, if I had to pick in the waterfront park, though, I like the one you mentioned, it's over there in the corner on the seawall by the playground. I think it's
Circle pumps.
yeah, it's circled, but it's not by the playground towards the old bridge,
I got it.
that corner where it plants up.
The big mounded,
Yeah, it's like a circle right there.
Yeah.
It's like the corner of the waterfront park right there. And I'm trying to visualize it. I've seen it on a billion times. I think there's some flowers there or something. I can't visualize it, so I don't know if that would be a good
That'll
spot
be
or
the
not.
corner of the bathroom.
okay, not the one I'm thinking of now, I'm thinking of the corner of the playground closest to the green space. Where it's really no trees in the middle.
That's the back touch, I think, right?
Okay,
Closest towards the bridge.
Like on the seawall,
Yeah.
right where the corner of it,
You know where, so yeah, right.
back where the maintenance.
and there is flowers and there's the 3 palms there.
Yeah.
It's actually not a bad idea because people go there to do a photo op in front of palms and flowers
Mhm.
all the time because you get the backsplash of the bridge and everything right there.
And then where he lived was literally only 50, 80 feet away.
That's actually not bad.
Good, all right, we'll move along. Community Garden Southside phase 2.
So I just wanted to touch on it and make sure that we kind of go on, because I know we kind of finalized our recommendations of what we thought were good, so I just want to make sure we write everything down. And then we agree on that, these are the recommendations we want to give council for our recommendations for the community garden. Because I know we talked about 2 different style planter boxes. I know we talked about fencing it in. Question security, what it would look like, but then we also said, what are they looking for? Are they looking for like a, you know, traditional garden? Where people with planters, tomatoes, basil, all that, or is it gonna be just like secessions where it's ornamental then? So I wanted to just kind of brainstorm real quick, write everything down, see if everybody agrees on that. See if we can write it up.
Well, what do you guys think? I'll tell you what I think. I think it's gonna be a lesson of frustration.
Yeah, I walked away last week thinking, last meeting that we were on the negative of a community garden.
What do you two think? I like the idea. I think it's a great premise. But unless it's fenced in with limited access, it just could be a lesson of frustration to those who are participating.
Well, you know me, everything I look at, because we're the safety net. If it's not maintained, we maintain it. So when I always look at it from a maintenance aspect, how much time is gonna have to be to maintain it and keep it looking beautiful. Is it worth it? You know, because Southside's already getting bigger. what actually used to take us only 2 days to do that work is actually stretched enough to now 4. Because the landscape has actually changed how we maintain it. So it's actually longer to maintain it, even though they haven't made the spaces bigger. It's just the structure and the way they built it and the retention pond that they put in the back, instead of us just mowing straight back and forth, now that becomes weed eating. Because we can't.
4 days a week, a
So
month.
it used to take 2 days to cut the entire park, weed, edge, blow, mow, everything. It's now 4 days,
That's gonna add to it.
and that's going to add to it.
Sure.
If it falls back onto us, because just like anything, we add everything, but we're always mistaken that if something doesn't work out and it's not maintained, or it doesn't go as planned, because in the beginning, a lot of people always jump on it, but then life happens, commitments change, and then people move, right? Nobody's maintaining it, and then phone calls start rolling in. And then we maintain it.
You know what? Go ahead.
I was gonna say, what was the original mission of wanting a community garden there? Is it to build community, or is it what for people to go
Sure,
there
I'm sure it
and
was both. I'm sure that, because when we did the survey, besides splash pad, there was probably one of the second biggest things that came up was the community garden. So it was wanted by the public, and I think, I know. Trying to think which councilman, is really, he was pushing behind it in support, because we were trying to work along Clemson extension.
Yeah.
Councilman Mitchell was the one that was saying he really wants to see this come to fruition. It's a good idea, community gardens are a good idea, it helps. Give community something to feel like you're a part of, especially with the city. It builds those bridges and relationships. I do think that there was a idea of maybe doing a traditional garden type, where we had planter boxes, people have a place to grow that they would at their own home. But I'm sure they're trying to weigh out the pluses and minuses of both, of it just being ornamental garden. Right? There's just perennials and annuals that we play in there. Or how we look going garden type box. I just think they're still working on that right now, because even phase 2, there's no plan design. We're still working everything together, and I think these are just trying to see, like, what have we seen in other community gardens that have worked, that we know will not work here. There's a lot of, I want to try to call them cons, but there's a lot of things that can go wrong if you don't check every box the right way and look into each detail. Because you really have to, it has to be a well thought out plan. You can't just say community garden, let's build on the spot. You have to have some sort of plan that makes sense.
So. Let me ask it, so is the community garden? That's phase 2, there's no turning back. It's already been decided on. Is there wiggle room to a different?
Everything is acceptable change, because money changes a lot of things. If adding that becomes too much, it may get cut out until phase 3. There's a lot of things that we thought would be involved in phase 1, but $6.5 million thing come up, you go, okay, well, let's shift this to phase 2 and then focus on the playground and pavilion first. It depends, like I said, once the plan is designed and they start getting in the quotes for what it would cost them, then those conversations would probably have, like, this we can't do right now. This is cost saving for phase 3.
Would they be open to recommendation of something other than a community garden?
But we can ask. So
And I guess I'll skip ahead a little bit. I know we'll talk about this later, but my other point, so they don't have a budget yet for this, then that's still gonna be talked about.
I'm sure they're still awaiting all the details to allocate.
Okay. And they don't have, so they want suggestions from us about size. And, okay,
Kind of just use our expertise of what we've seen in different communities and what we like, what we don't like, what's functional, what's not.
if you go going forward with it. I'll have to get the exact size, but The one that I'm always drawn to is the one I always mention, which is Celadon's. And they have a nice little picket fence area. And then they have a little wooden plaque at the top that says Celadon Garden. It looks, and I'd have to get the size, but I mean, you can fit. There's like. And there's space to walk around. And spigots and things, but. I mean, that would be, if we did forward with that, that's something I think. Would be a good design idea for it.
If you do, but again, too, and shoe on the other foot, if you all feel that your recommendation is you wouldn't think that a community garden. That can be your recommendation. If the cons outweigh the pros, that can be your recommendation.
And another thing too is that you're gonna have to run water, right, irrigation to where the site is.
Well, they added 785. That's the revenues, not, I don't know, just take that, but there's a lot more than what we were maintaining before. So
All from one block,
there's, I think, 31 stations now.
31 stations,
30 in Southside, 31 stations.
but all on one block, all on one block. T-wire.
31.
It is.
No, I've got 3 stations at my house on 3 clocks, so.
I think Waterfront Park has. That's a total of 48, but I think 40 are. 40 are U5. They can get big.
Wow. Yeah, so, you know, so that's many thousands of dollars in expense, money, water. Well, I like the idea of a community garden, but I'm a little just wondering how it's going to work at Southside without it being, you know, if it's not enclosed.
Let me see. I will talk to Nate. And I will see if at our next meeting, we can get somebody to come in and give us some sort of an idea or direction they'd like to go. To get a definitive answer of which side of the fence they're on. So that we know, okay, if it's ornamental, we can think solely on this pros and cons. If it's some sort of community garden where everybody gets planter box, we can solely focus on the pros and cons of this and get a better idea. Because if they're the ones that are in the middle of pushing out all the details, it's better to hear.
And are there deer?
Understand.
You know, if there's lots of deer, then it's gonna have to be enclosed with,
Here, there's deer.
yeah. Just because they come in and eat everything. You know, so,
The hardest spring and spring.
Yeah.
Your repellent does not work.
No.
Test.
We do Kusog, all flower beds out there.
what you use?
It's called Yard Guard. Put it around the border. It does well for about a week or so. You're used to it. And then it doesn't affect them.
I'll tell you, I'll look up and take a
No,
No,
that's from like an old landscaper that, 30+ years.
How expensive milk is nowadays.
it's like those
milk.
eggs.
Poured
I
around.
need a PO for $1,000.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of people now transition to sensor sprinklers that will come on and shoot the water out the area. Sure. So you can find deer place to splash at it.
You said we use bothers. Oh, bothers. Okay,
So I'll do that. I'll talk to Nate and see if we can get somebody at our next meeting.
all right. So, Parks Assessment Mercy Cemetery.
And by the way, happy public works.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Gonna work hard and get it done, man.
We're out there.
Love the weekend. of the shout outs. That's great.
And they have any assessments for Mercy Cemetery?
Isaiah, didn't you have some suggestions?
You mentioned jumps.
I had mentioned Little Jim.
I think we also, it was Confederate Jasmine, right?
I think you're gonna have to replace the. Don't you have to replace the fencing for Confederate Jasmine, where it's, you know, it's split rail right now?
Yeah.
For it to crawl up as I was thinking.
It'll. If it's planted by either post, I mean, it'll wrap up
And then we get.
and then it'll,
Ends.
yeah. I mean, it'll, I did it in a property last year and it's already started to kind of grab hold. It's invasive, so I mean, it's gonna continue to just grow. Takes about 3 years for it to be.
Oh,
full and
right.
integrated.
Yeah, it's invasive.
Mhm.
Okay.
But yeah, with the amount of property that's already at Mercy Cemetery, it's something like a little gem, which is. This is a horticultural term, but the dwarf version of a magnolia, basically, it's not gonna get. Huge, but it's the same type of trees they put in streetscapes on front areas and corner buildings for like a foundational flank.
Yeah.
So something like that, like that. Because I mean, they bloom. You get the white flowers, and you got the leaves that have the brown undertones, and then the dark green waxy.
They can take sun, they can take our sun.
And they grow down to the ground, so. Trim, like maintenance would be low.
Wow.
Because, I mean, I guess it. Depending on what you guys want, but magnolia is supposed to go down the ground, basically. Like a Christmas tree.
Along Boundary Street.
Well, it's, you make the left on. That's that back part of the- yeah. Possibly grab salt back there. So, you have to get off that. Pretty close. And you increase the price on. Yeah.
Okay.
I can come up with some designs. Send them out and decide what we think.
All right,
Especially if we don't have to replace the fencing, fencing's already there.
that's good. All right, that's Mercy Cemetery. All right, vote for new responsibility changes for Ptac, public comment. Isaiah? You want to talk about what you wrote up?
Yeah, you were able to get that email and
Yes.
everything. So I guess the main thing is, would you have any questions after reading it?
No. I kind of understood what you were saying too, like it was you having them read it on me. You know, there's certain areas there where it's like you're having a conversation.
Right.
So I was able to figure it out, but no, when I went through it.
Yeah, my thought process was, you know, I'd stand up and I'd basically read directly from this. I think maybe we get copies,
Yeah.
so they can follow along, because obviously it's front and back, but just gonna kind of read it. We had met and discussed all this stuff.
But you didn't actually get to present it, did you?
No, because it has to be, since there was changes made. And it's not the exact same recommendations, it has to come back to the table to be voted on.
Today.
Oh, we have to vote
You have to
again.
vote on it.
And
Got
then-
it.
On these
Then-
changes that
Then
he's proposing.
we
Got it.
likely get
Okay.
that, the next council. Work session.
So I think the only question that I have. Today would be, when we were talking about. Fourth thing, which was enforcement. of existing parts of the code. I had mentioned that Ptac was never involved in the initial decision making of Southside Park renovations. And they had confirmed that. And biggest thing was the community gardens, we were asked how we would do the community gardens, but we were never asked, would you suggest community gardens? But after the conversation today, I guess I need to get some clarity. You're asking, you're talking about bringing us into the conversation to talk about, do we do community gardens? So that might be an edit that I remove if we were actually.
But you still say
Keep
to
it
the
in.
point too of, you do want to be involved.
Yeah.
in The development phases of our parks,
So keep it, okay.
because that's not something you're changing. You still want to be involved in the processes of projects in the our parks front base. And I think that you should be involved. I've said it many times, it's part of that, best make sure that or there are things that are because that's the reason behind it. Actually, not just for Tree City, like it is.
Our goal is to recommend this. So my biggest desire for this was to come across as such recommendation. Not trying to be pushy, but just say it's something that we recommend.
There's nothing wrong with stating it's great, responsibility, why it has. Yes, that's, it's not really, for public works, it's not a question for us, we don't handle those things. We're in the process. In some ways and forms, but not the whole process, that's project manager, city manager, council. So, it should trickle down.
Okay, so is that clear? Right,
I understand it.
so everybody has read this letter, correct, that Isaiah sent in.
Yeah,
I have it right here if you want.
I read it, I would just make a comment that, yeah, the city has 7 boards. Cultural district board and this board is we're kind of different animals. So then the other ones, the other 5, they're more legal, more regulatory, some of them have mission statements. The growth around here, the parks is not keeping up, especially different activities. I think the night before last, they had a turnout at this point, boat ramp. See the plans for the neighborhood showed up, and there was almost arguing, not quite arguing, but then I knew I was beautiful. I heard people voicing their opinions and this and that. They're gonna make some changes to the boat landing. And but that's good, people vocal, so I just wondered if we learning from our past as far as new parks. And anytime you can put a new park in, obviously the river is a natural park and the boat landing is an access to it. Yeah, I could go on, but I think the bluff is not even, it's not even listed on the park, so I think people need to voice their, silence says a lot, I suppose, but it's almost a natural looking park, but it kind of talks to you in a way when you go down there and enjoy it, and I come across some people down there, even alligators. That was a freak one, but I think we'll miss the ship if we don't do something with that land, and it's going to be done, be done in a respectful manner. It's not like we're putting up a wall or we're putting up a parking garage or stuff like that. You against that? Anybody here?
We're off subject.
Because I was just wondering if we can, And you know, there's plenty of jokes about job description, I mean, I don't know, so I think some of this is very good stuff. And I'm just wondering, yeah. Yeah,
Okay, so. I know you really want to establish
it's a group thing, it's not just me, everybody, yeah, go ahead, I'm
a
sorry.
trail, but. But before we touch upon that, we need to talk about this. And what we were talking about was. A vote for new responsibility changes for Ptac and public comment. So. What I need to do is ask for a vote to approve these changes and additions. To our responsibilities as Ptac. So let's go ahead and do that, all right? All in favor? Aye, all right, it's unanimous, we have no nays, and it has passed. You want this?
I have, that's
You-
the same
you
exact
have it,
copy.
it's the same exact copy, that's correct.
And I
Okay.
will send that to you.
That has passed. So now we're on to new business now. If you would like to continue voicing
Oh,
your,
I don't have anything else, I mean, we'll get cheated in the end, it's the way it's always been, if it's decades after decades. What's another decade, that's the way it goes, that's the way it goes around here. Get cheated. The kids, the community, 70-year-olds, 10-year-olds. I can't go down a slide, I'm too old. I can't go down a slide in the brand new park they put in Pigeon Point, I'm not going down that slide. I'm too old.
what does
So
that
we
have?
just keep doing the same thing. Basketball, the Green Street Gym, tennis, we never got a tennis center. I mean, they gave us Greenway, Eric Greenway and Shannon Loper. I'm just saying, y'all gave me silence when I should have recommended it the first time when I had it on a sheet of paper and I typed it out, but Adam was saying no, and then months went by and then I finally made a motion, say, hey, you know, last week, let's, I suggest the council look into blah, 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 and then, yeah, so I mean, I'm
Can I ask
looking into
you,
the
What, I was
possibilities.
like, no, when did I specifically tell you no?
No, it wasn't a no, it was,
You just said, I said, no. When did
well, I
specifically say no?
meant it this way, I gotta be careful with my words,
Yeah.
especially when you're in the room. If you wanna go outside, I can talk about it, no, I'm just kidding.
So, I would like.
I'm kidding. What I meant was, when I had a motion with me and I was ready to make it, I don't, like I say, it's a hard job keeping minutes, and I can't remember what you said, to be honest, so be frank, but so it was something along the lines of,
I told
you were somewhat
I told-
against it.
No, I told you specifically that the city would never allow private citizens to manufacture a bike trail on the Bay Street Bluff. There's too much liability. that
Well, no,
would-
this was just a general recommendation to the council.
Of building a bike trail.
I might have saved it. No, this was a recommendation for the city to basically look into it. It was such a general statement. You know, if we're a board for recommendations, maybe I should have.
But
I don't
I
know.
didn't vote it, no, because I don't have voting power. The committee did
I
not.
never made the motion that day because,
You did say.
but you
voted.
spoke about it, and then I didn't make the motion. That's what happened.
You did make a motion to propose that.
No, I'm talking the first time, when I brought the letter, I had it typed out and I was gonna make the motion. I didn't make the motion because you spoke and you said, I don't know, I'm not really worried about that day. I'm worried about tomorrow, so
let me ask you this, because I do think
I would,
that a bike trail is a good idea. I don't think that the location is the best, so when we present recommendations, we always wanna have multiple places, right? So my question would be, if not the bluff, yes, I think a bike trail would be on the area and a lot of people would utilize it. If not the bluff, what other places do you think it would be that it would work at? I mean, it could still happen, but
well, yeah, you have one over here, one over there, maybe, but I would just encourage people to go down there, make up your own mind, look at the property. Not the property, look at the beautiful place down there. Walk that loop. It's a sight, it's, I've never seen a land like that before, I mean, it's just, I don't know how to describe it, and you know, when Yeah, I don't know. It's enjoyable the way it is, and it's a shame that it hadn't been enhanced. And it's some portions of it are aggravating because it's off camber, it's this, it's that, but
It's off what?
off camber, so it's like slanted, it's slanted like that, you're going like this.
It's not.
If you ever try to run, so you run on a flat land, it's easier than running on a slanted off camber, so.
Yeah, if you walk along the retaining wall there, you'll have to maneuver various ways.
It's a bluff, and it's kind of slopes down to the river, but
So I have never, I can envision what you're talking about, but I certainly have never ridden a bike, especially at night. But needless to say, wouldn't it be kind of dangerous for little kids if you have an uneven piece of land, where first it's level, and then it goes like this, and then down here's the water. And is this along the retaining wall? Wouldn't it be kind of dangerous for, an inexperienced bicycle riders?
There's also the alligators that you said yourself. You saw alligators, if a kid was
Oh my
down there,
gosh.
an alligator, and they.
Oh, that's like winning the lottery. I don't know I saw one alligator, but so there's
I'll
no,
tell you about alligators.
there's maybe one, if that, one blind spot on the whole loop
So, okay, let's take the position of the city, okay, and I'll be the devil's advocate. You want to establish a trail, right? And you want the city to come in and pay for it and do it. There's a huge liability.
what are you gonna say for the city to pay for it?
Well, I mean, let's say you get a grant.
It's city property.
Yeah, but there's this huge liability that the city has, especially, with it, how it is now, unless it gets, repaved, not repaved. Regraded, exactly, thank you. Regraded,
Graded and engineered.
But
Yeah.
then you risk the integrity of the marsh.
exactly,
And if you start to do that, you'll risk the integrity of the marsh, which could ultimately end up losing a lot of that.
through erosion, that's
Yes.
correct. Right.
There was already. When I first discovered that as a trail, there was already two sections. It was a trail. They're very short. There's one just to the west of Harrington would be the landmark. And that would be right along the edge. It was single track, and then the other section would be across from the old courthouse. And it was a shock that it looked like that, because I just looked at it, I was like, And there's a variety of surfaces on this whole loop. There's thick grass, probably there for the drainage. There's the two dirt sections that were already there. There's even pebbles. I mean, there's one section, it's a short section. It's the upper level. I mean, there's ways around the liability. I mean, Rock Hill owns a velodrome with people going around the track with no brakes, on bicycles with no brakes. And I don't know a whole lot about that velodrome, but I do know it's owned by the city, and you want to talk about liability. You just can't, that particular facility, I did look at their website a while back. You just can't show up and go ride on their track. You have to take like a little class.
Well, I mean,
But I'm
so,
not recommending a class, I'm just saying there's ways to. I think the best advice I ever got was on a trail was ride within your level, because after I passed that sign, man, you could have broke your neck. And this is a beginner trail. I kid you not, this is a beginner trail. I've ridden technical trails, expert trails, that particular trail, yeah, I mean, you couldn't really get in trouble.
okay, back to the city of Beaufort. I
If
believe,
you believe in the possibilities, just
Yeah.
want to say, oh, liability, we can't do it. I mean, you think that they should have said that with the velodrome, I mean, oh, we can't do it, liability. That's the Beaufort, no. But if they want to sue, they sue it. Somebody has to be negligent. If it's two cars hitting each other over on so-and-so street, that's the two drivers' fault. It's not the course. But you can make it safer. I mean, I understand your point with liability. There is a broad topic,
Yeah.
yeah.
And people like to
understand.
sue these
Oh,
days
yeah.
for everything. I know everything. So I think, here's what I think, in terms of you're pursuing this idea of doing a bike trail, I don't think it's gonna go anywhere, and I'm sorry to tell you that.
It's
but
a multi-use. Nature trail.
People are gonna probably enjoy the walk. But personally speaking, I have a lot of experience riding a bike, but I don't think I'd take a bike down. That's me. And I don't think I'd recommend my grandchildren to do that either. Just because of the possibilities of them being hurt and not experienced. That's my opinion. That's solely my opinion. I know that this is part of your heart. You know, you keep bringing this up again and again and again, and you want something to move forward with this, but I don't know that that's gonna happen.
It's probably safer than putting a kid in a car and going down 278.
Well,
I
maybe for
mean-
you it is, but you're very.
So
very
some people don't-
experienced.
So, well, it's a beginner trail, so I don't know. I mean,
Beginner to me would be the
So-
rail trail that's paved
so,
in level.
so somebody on a bicycle, they determine how they steer the bike, how fast they go. How athletic they are, how coordinated they are. I've seen, there's been wrecks on the rail trail, Spanish Moss Trail, there's been a wreck.
Oh, I'm sure.
I fixed their bike, I know. And that was stupidity. That was the people going the other way. And they were hogging the whole trail. And that's where the trail deviated from the railroad tracks to go around. And it was, I call it a 90-degree turn. And when they were hogging the whole trail and they were converging, they ran the guy off into the fence and he got banged up, and then I fixed his bike, and then that is sort of a wreck there, but yeah, he was lucky.
And you know who gets those phone calls?
What about like on
And then we
Bay
have
Street having a
we have-
bike lane?
What about running off this potential trail when somebody loses control? And I was, on a bike trail where a woman didn't make the turn and she ended up down there and broke her arm. And down there could be in the marsh. I just don't see,
Well, yeah, I've been in car wrecks, I still drive.
yeah.
I mean, I've been in, I don't know how many, one, hit and run was one, this guy hit and ran,
Okay,
you know.
so what else did you want to ask?
I don't know why you should go look and see what they did in Savannah, how they got the city to allow them to do whatever they want in that park. That is truly amazing. And that would be Joseph Tribble Park. Dirt jumps this high. One guy broke a rib. Is he gonna sue the city? No, because he was flying up doing stunts. I went down there one time, it was St. Patty's Jam. I know y'all wanna move on, but I didn't witness it. But they had like a little contest, St. Patty's Jam, it was maybe, what month is this? It was probably 2 Marches ago. It was during March, St. Patty's Day, and so he broke his rib. Cause I came back and the head guy was stressed out, and I said, what's going on? And he said, I'm stressed. I said, what's up? He said, guy broke a rib, so I went, where's he at? I said, so we're in the parking lot, so I went over there to look at him, and I went over there and I tried not to let him know I was looking at him. He was sitting in the passenger seat of the car with the door open, sitting sideways. And the guy was standing outside of it, looking after him. He just had a poker face, sitting in the car, a little blood somewhere here or there. And he was just like, poker face, and yeah, that was tough. And I didn't even think he was gonna call an ambulance or something, but so those dirt jumps were built by volunteers. I'm not saying this is how it should be done. I'm just saying, if you don't have an open mind, we're not learning from the past. I mean, so I grew up here. I might be different, just a few years younger than you, but I did grow up here. I played just about all over this place, so I've seen it over decades, and it's a shame. So, and then you kind of can see where this is going. That people on a parks board will bring this up and say, basically, oh, liability, no, the city, no, this is a hard sell, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's like, I mean, that's sad. That is so sad. I mean, it's like, I would just say grow a backbone, Cause you're cheating the kids, you're cheating they would love this, it would thrive, it's a clever use of that land, I don't see any pavement on that land. The bike lane, they would have to. There's so minimal traffic on that road, it's a low speed limit, I don't know if the bike lane would be the best choice, but Bay Street's different than the Bluff, so. So Charleston, Savannah, I mean, they're doing this all over, these trails, people, the growth is just killing. And so this is something, it's positive. Cause all this growth is just negative, all these freaking clear cutting this, clear cutting that, I mean. So I don't know what else to say, I mean, I can't explain what a trail to somebody that's not gonna use it, I don't know how, just like. I don't have a green thumb, I'm not a professional grower, I couldn't tell you how to grow something, when I put my little plant in my business, God, I just cross my fingers and pray. I give it some water and that's all I do, and sometimes I bring it in at night, sometimes I leave it. So I do what I can, I'm not trained in that, so I know how some people, well, I don't know how to ride a bike, and I'm looking and I'm like, you don't know how to ride a bike? What? So some people don't literally do not know how to ride a bike, even if the thing had 3 wheels, you don't have to keep balance, the lady didn't know how to ride the wheel. I rode with her a mile, because I was scared to death she's gonna break her neck. She lived down in Jamaica, she was here for military graduation, before I even had my business, and scared out of my mind, what was I thinking? Lawsuit. So I rode with her a mile, and I said, have a great day or something, goodbye, I left, I said, I can't ride with her all day. And then they came back and they told me they rode 4 miles all the way down to, this was over by, they rented them at the old village of Port Royal, and I rode all the way up to Rebo Road with them, then they left, they came back and they said they rode all the way down to Depot and back, that's like, it's almost 4 miles at least, about 4 miles, right, yeah. So I'm sorry to belabor that, but, thank you.
All right. Any other new business? Public comment?
No, none on Zoom. Someone made a comment on Facebook, but they didn't ask it for about a splashback. More of a statement than a question.
Okay, anything else, everybody? No? All right, meeting is adjourned. Hey.
Forgive me, Barbara.